On this Tuesday night, 12 boys and their coach are in a hospital recovering after a dramatic rescue from that cave. We're on the ground in Thailand where there is relief and jubilation after a successful mission that just days ago seemed impossible. What's next for the boys who one volunteer calls the world's kids?
Also tonight, Justin Trudeau and Donald Trump at odds again, this time over Russia. This as NATO members get set to meet tomorrow, and the president again accuses allies of freeloading off the United States. But here's the thing, is he right? This is The National.
They spent more than 2.5 weeks in darkness. 12 boys and their soccer coach malnourished, trapped by floodwaters. Just days ago, it seemed their story might end in tragedy, but Thailand's daring rescue plan came through. Ambulances ferried the last boys to hospital. You can hear the crowds cheering them on. The man in charge of the rescue operation, jubilant, heaping praise on the divers, medical personnel, and support staff. He was interrupted as the last Navy SEALs exited the cave, overcome by emotion, overwhelmed by their success. And they aren't alone. Seemingly all of Thailand has been celebrating, deeply relieved the boys and their coach are safe and sound. As Briar Stewart tells us tonight from Chiang Rai, right now the wild boars are more famous than any World Cup team.
It began as soon as the last of the team reached the mouth of the cave that they faithfully entered 18 days ago. And the celebrations went well into the night.
It's more than happy. We have waited to hear the news, and even I can't really put it in words. It's more than happy.
For 2.5 weeks, people have been glued to every detail. Among those quietly watching and finally unwinding over a hot meal, a crew who had spent days pumping water out of the cave. This pretty much sums up how everyone is feeling. I'm very happy that the children are all out, one man says, and I'm very proud to play a small part in the success. The final 4 boys and their coach made it out and were on the way to the hospital in less than 10 hours after the rescue began. The Thai Navy SEALs who had been with the team in the chamber followed shortly after. But even with the jubilation, never far from mind was Sergeant Sanangunan, the former Thai Navy SEAL who died after running out of oxygen. As for the team, after spending so long cramped together on a dry slab of rock, they're reunited again. They're all on the same floor of the hospital where they're in isolation for the time being. About half of the boys attend the same school in U.S.A, a small community that borders Myanmar and lies just a few kilometers from the cave.
I'm like freaking out. It's like, oh my gosh.
15-year-old Wasana Cebu admits it's been difficult these days to pay attention in school.
I think everyone will like welcome them back with the love, included me.
Because even for those who knew nothing of the boys or the team before, they feel a deep personal connection to them now.
They are not only the kids of Chiang Rai, not the kids of Thailand, but they have become the world's kids.
For the past 10 days, Simi Upra has worked as a volunteer helping to translate, and she's now overcome with emotion.
It's not just like the kids of their parents anymore. They have become our kids as well now. It's so nice. A lot of happy people here tonight in Thailand.
Because they feel united by a rescue and a team they'll keep rallying around.
And Briar joins us from Chiang Rai. Obviously, people there are thrilled at the outcome, anxious to see the boys. When might that happen?
Well, some of the parents have already visited the boys in the hospital and more will soon, but there can't be any kind of physical contact, no hugging or anything like that, because there are concerns over infection. It's believed that 2 of the boys are suffering from mild pneumonia. As for the group that left the cave first, they're said to be doing well and have their appetite back. They're eating solid food, but nothing too spicy. And the entire group has to wear a type of sunglasses to protect their eyes from any harsh light, because after all, they've been underground in the dark for so long.
And there's some talk about what's going to happen with the cave itself.
Well, visitors were already warned not to go in the cave during the rainy season, but Thai officials say they're going to have to take extra precautions. They're talking about monitoring the entrance, putting up more lights. And interestingly enough, Ian, they're also talking about turning the cave into an international tourist destination. They've seen just how people around the world have been gripped by the dramatic rescue, and they're betting that quite a few people might want to visit the cave. Ian.
Thanks, Brian.
You're welcome.
Only a select few can describe what it was really like in those caves and what those boys had to go through.
They are getting forced to do something that no kid has ever done before. It is not in any way normal for kids to do cave diving at age 11. And thinking about they being kept in a small cave for 2 weeks, they haven't seen their mom, incredibly strong kids.
Ivan Karadovic runs a diving business in Thailand, and he took part in the first 2 days of the rescue. He was stationed near a difficult stretch of the cave about halfway along the route, helping to replace oxygen tanks and help guide people through the cold water.
It's about 20 degrees Celsius water, and the visibility is absolutely zero. And in the very early days of the rescue operation, there was a strong flow. It was not physically possible to actually swim in there. You had to hold on to rocks and drag yourself in.
But that current subsided as engineers pumped out more than 128 million liters of water.
The water levels went down, so there was less parts that required diving and more parts you could just walk through.
Karadovic couldn't communicate with the boys he helped. They were wearing full face masks, but they seemed remarkably strong given their ordeal.
Considering the conditions, they've been through for the last 2 weeks, they were calm.
The boys were given a sedative each before they were led to safety, which may help explain their relative calm, but their ordeal isn't over, and the urgent new priority is their health. Nicole Ireland looks at the threats they could face and why they've got more than a fighting chance.
From the moment ambulances started speeding the boys from the cave to the hospital, the world has wondered about their health.
It's been dark. It's quite cold in these environments. We have to be concerned about things like hypothermia. The second thing is that certainly in a cave, and especially a flooded cave, there are some infections that need to be addressed that are potentially problematic.
In fact, Thai officials have said the boys can't have contact with their parents yet because of that infection risk. They could be fungal infections like histoplasmosis, sometimes called cave disease. People can get it when they inhale the spores of a fungus. They could also be bacterial infections from the unhygienic environment and water the boys had to drink to stay alive. But those infections should be easily treated.
And these are all that we know of young, healthy young men.
The longer-term concern is their mental health. Clinical psychologist Phil Ritchie says there's no question they've been through a traumatic experience.
Being separated from their parents would contribute to some of the trauma they might have experienced, but being with teammates I think may have a mitigating effect. I think that being collectively in something is much easier than being alone or with people that you don't know.
The kids will need support, he says. That might be informal, from family and friends. Some might need counseling, or they might be just fine.
We don't want to just assume that oh, these kids are really scarred for life. There is something called post-traumatic growth that sometimes we get as well, where actually people, kids and adults, will integrate a traumatic experience in a way that really allows them to move forward and make sense, make meaning out of what they've been through.
The most important next step, Richie says, is to reunite the boys with their families as soon as possible and get them back to their normal life, including playing soccer again. Nicole Ireland, CBC News, Toronto.
But getting back to normal life may be a challenge. The boys have become international celebrities of sorts, and now that they're safe and sound, some offers are rolling in. The soccer team received a pretty nice invitation from FIFA, tickets to the World Cup final this Sunday in Moscow. Unfortunately, doctors say the kids shouldn't make the trip, so they'll have to watch on television instead. But the offer stands, and FIFA says the boys will be invited to another event when they're fit to travel. That's not the only international trip on offer. Manchester United posted on Facebook today, "We would be honoured to welcome the team from Wild Boars Football Club and their rescuers to Old Trafford this coming season." And the boys may have something special to wear when they get there. England defender Kyle Walker says he wants to send them new shirts after at least one of them was spotted in the cave sporting this England jersey.
Here's a look at what else we're working on tonight. The father of one of the boys killed in the Humboldt Bus Crash tells us why he wanted to be there as the truck driver appeared in front of a packed courtroom today.
And as Republicans sell Brett Kavanaugh as Supreme Court nominee, how Donald Trump's pick could actually shape the midterm elections.
First, though, it looks like Donald Trump is ready for another fight, and friends, not foes, are once again in his sights. This time, he is taking aim at his NATO allies, including Canada, ahead of a summit in Brussels tomorrow. It will be the first face-to-face meeting between Trump and Justin Trudeau since the G7 meeting that did not go terribly well. As Catherine Cullen reports, Trump's jab today immediately put Trudeau on the defensive.
Make no mistake, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau wants to show off, flexing Canada's military muscle to counter this.
NATO has not treated us fairly, but I think we'll work something out. We pay far too much, and they pay far too little.
Canada is included in that condemnation, but the Prime Minister is pushing back on that and fears Donald Trump's commitment to NATO is wavering.
The message that you are all delivering by being here, by working side by side, continues to be that NATO matters.
Today, Trudeau announced Canadians would keep leading the NATO mission in Latvia until 2023 and increase the number of troops by 85 to a total of 540. The aim, discouraging any possible Russian aggression. The U.S. president plans to meet one-on-one with Russia's president next week, and there are already concerns about where his favor lies.
So I have NATO, I have the UK, which is in somewhat turmoil, and I have Putin. Frankly, Putin may be the easiest of them all.
But back to NATO. Canada, along with other members, agreed to up defense spending, aiming for a goal of 2% of GDP by 2024. Trudeau said today Canada is spending more, but it won't meet that target.
But no, there are no plans to double our defense budget.
So he'll try to convince Trump and others this is about more than just numbers.
Ultimately, the more important metrics are always, are countries stepping up consistently with the capacities that NATO needs?
And that puts the Prime Minister on a potential collision course with Trump here in Brussels when they meet tomorrow. And the U.S. president is already tweeting today that not only are many NATO countries not meeting their targets, but that they've been, quote, delinquent for many years in payments. But that's not how NATO works. There are no payments. The 2% is how much countries are supposed to spend on their own militaries. So that should make for some interesting discussion here tomorrow. Catherine Cullen, CBC News, Brussels.
So does Donald Trump have a valid point that NATO is not treating the U.S. fairly and that the United States has been shouldering too much of the burden? As David Common found out, he is not entirely wrong.
As Donald Trump arrives to complain about NATO, U.S. soldiers are training alongside other NATO nations. No talk of money here, just mission. NATO's core mission of deterring Russia, especially now with threats to territory and a push for influence. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is dumping on other alliance members, sending letters like this one to Justin Trudeau, obtained by iPolitics, saying key allies like Canada have not stepped up defense spending as promised. And Trump is right, sort of.
Yes, it's true the United States spends far more on its military than other countries, but that's largely because it has a global presence. And in fact, it often could be said that it overspends in a lot of areas as well.
The benchmark amount for NATO nations is 2% of their economic output on military spending. It's a goal, not an obligation. And NATO just released this year's numbers. Canada in 18th spot at 1.23% of GDP. Nearly all members are increasing spending, but the fact remains America spends way more, 3/4 of the alliance's total military spending. But NATO was set up with this model in mind.
This, then, is the story of the way of life of people who live under the star of NATO.
The reason NATO was created in 1945, as it's been famously put, is to keep the Russians out, the Germans down, and the Americans in. And the reason is that really what the American presence has done is provided a security guarantee. And that means that other European nations don't have to build up their arms, that they don't have to acquire things like nuclear weapons in order to feel secure. So this is the importance of NATO.
To make his point, Trump may pick a fight at this week's summit or go bigger, draw down U.S. troop levels in Europe substantially, perhaps even pull soldiers from high readiness right along the Russian border, even withdraw from NATO.
It undermines the notion that there is unity in the West. This is something that Putin has long sought. It's something the Soviet Union sought to achieve during the Cold War, an undermining of the unity across the Atlantic Ocean. And I mean, it's astonishing. Now we have a president of the United States who's contributing to the undermining of the West.
Trump's shift away from traditional allies, other liberal democracies, and instead cozying up to strong-arm autocrats, comes just as his own military, along with Canadians and others, are conducting the world's largest military exercise together. It also comes as the biggest buildup of alliance armies in a quarter century is underway right now in Eastern Europe, pushing back against Russia. David Coleman, CBC News, Toronto.
The truck driver charged in the deadly Humboldt Broncos bus crash is out on bail tonight after facing a packed courtroom in Saskatchewan. Calgary's Jaskirat Singh Sidhu is charged with 29 counts of dangerous driving. His court appearance today was short, but as Olivia Stefanovich tells us, some families felt the need to be there.
This is his table. This hasn't changed since the date of the accidents.
Memories of Evan Thomas are everywhere.
But this is the stack of cards that we got from people from all over the world.
The 18-year-old Humboldt Bronco was one of the junior hockey players killed on the way to a playoff game in April. The cause of the crash is still unknown. Semi-driver Jaskirat Singh Sidhu is facing 16 counts of dangerous driving causing death and 13 counts of dangerous driving causing bodily harm. That's one criminal offense for each person who was on the Humboldt Broncos bus when it collided with Sidhu's truck. The 29-year-old from Calgary made his first court appearance today in Saskatchewan, surrounded by a large police presence. Thomas felt compelled to be there and make eye contact with Sidhu.
Sure, there was why, but it was just like a big void in the bottom of my stomach.
Sidhu was released for $1,000 with conditions, a curfew, no driving, and he had to surrender his passport. Sidhu was composed but appeared tired. He looked at the gallery briefly, and his eyes became watery as the judge read out his conditions. He came to Canada a few years ago to start a new life. The owner of Adesh Diol Trucking says Sidhu was receiving training 1 month before the fatal collision and was only on the job for 2 weeks. After court today, Scott Thomas got one more reminder of his son.
The one we're working on right now is a reproduction of a picture that my daughter took at the funeral home. The one set of hands is hers, and then the other set of hands is my son's.
A reminder of how this tragedy has marked so many lives. Olivia Stefanovich, CBC News, Melfort, Saskatchewan.
We're tracking some developing stories tonight, including news of deaths in Ontario, possibly from extreme heat. The province's chief coroner revealing 3 recent deaths are under investigation. Now, that's much lower than the 70 deaths under investigation in Quebec. You might be wondering why the discrepancy? Possibly because in Quebec, a death can be deemed health-related if someone has a chronic condition. In Ontario, it's only counted when heat is believed to be the direct cause, as in a child being left in a hot car.
We strongly believe that the DNA located is that of Candace Fitzpatrick.
A police investigation is expanding in Ontario after a second missing woman's DNA was found in an Oshawa apartment. Candace Fitzpatrick's DNA was found in the same apartment where body parts belonging to 18-year-old Rory Hashi were found. A 45-year-old man has been arrested, but no murder charges have been laid.
Next on The National, the stage is set for a battle on Capitol Hill, how Donald Trump's Supreme Court nomination could spill into midterm elections.
And as Drake breaks a record once set by the Beatles, we look at his recipe for success in the digital streaming age.
Back in the day, if you wrote down the lyrics to a hip-hop song, you're turning pages on pages on pages. If you write lyrics to this song down, you love me, I said it when we part, I'm sorry. You know, it's over.
Yeah.
That's about it.
President Trump has made his Supreme Court pick, and now Republicans and Democrats alike are making Brett Kavanaugh their mission. For Kavanaugh, he needs the support of at least 51 senators to be confirmed, and today he started that work on Capitol Hill. Our Stephen D'Souza has a look at how this could unfold.
Congratulations, sir. For Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh, the potentially rocky road to confirmation began with a visit to Capitol Hill to strategize a way forward with Republican leadership.
I think the president made an outstanding nomination. We look forward to the confirmation process.
That's like saying you look forward to a root canal. Democrats say they're ready to drill down into Kavanaugh's resume, from his time investigating Bill Clinton and as a staffer to George W. Bush, to the close to 300 decisions from the bench. They'll examine every opinion targeting health care and abortion.
On the question of Roe v. Wade, if confirmed to the D.C. Circuit, I would follow Roe v. Wade faithfully and fully.
More pressing, though, could be Kavanaugh's view that sitting presidents should be immune from civil lawsuits and criminal investigations. With Trump entangled in the Mueller probe, Democrats say that's concerning.
No investigation of a president. Is it any wonder that President Trump chose Kavanaugh from the list of 25? When we know he's obsessed with this investigation?
Ultimately, confirmation is a numbers game. Republicans hold a slim 51-49 majority in the Senate. So all eyes will be on 2 female Republican senators who voted independently in the past, and about 10 so-called red state Democrats. They're up for re-election in states Trump won. If any break rank, the real drama will begin. Ultimately, Democrats may not be able to prevent Kavanaugh's confirmation, but experts say they can use the hearings to shape their message heading into November's midterm elections.
Democrats are going to try to paint Republicans as rubber stamps for President Trump, try to really associate the Republican Party with not being able to provide a check on the president.
All of that sets the stage for political theater of the highest order, a process that will test fault lines within the parties and the country itself. Stephen D'Souza, CBC News, New York.
Up next on The National, celebrities are cashing in on pot with endorsement deals, but is it even legal?
Who smokes the blunts? We smoke the blunts. Rolling blunts and smoking.
How is it not an endorsement when Jay and Silent Bob are suddenly partnered with Believe?
Right.
This is a human rights abuse and cause for concern, not only here in Congress, but among the American people.
Frustration from a Democratic congressman after the Trump administration admitted it wouldn't meet today's deadline to reunite young migrant children with their parents. A court had given the government until tonight to reunite children under 5. The government said it expected more than 50 children would be reunited by tonight, but only half of those separated. Preparations underway in London today for Donald Trump's visit. Ahead of his arrival Thursday, workers installed a security fence around the property where he'll be staying. Warning protests could get violent, the U.S. Embassy in London told Americans to keep a low profile during Trump's visit. John Lennon once famously said the Beatles were more popular than Jesus, and by that measure, Drake has got to be feeling pretty good right now.
God's plan. God's plan.
I hold back, sometimes I won't. Yeah. I feel good, sometimes I don't. Hey.
His new album, Scorpion, made history today. 7 songs on Billboard's top 10 at the same time. That breaks the previous record of 5 set by the Beatles in 1964. Now, if that wasn't enough, all 25 tracks from Scorpion have made Billboard's Hot 100. And it's the first album to ever hit 1 billion streams in 1 week. So no question that he's talented and has legions of fans. But as Eli Glasner found out, there's something else behind Drake's phenomenal rise.
What's Drake's secret? We put the question to rapper and radio host O'Dario Williams.
Back in the day, if you wrote down the lyrics to a hip-hop song, you're turning pages on pages on pages. If you write lyrics to this song down, you love me, I said it only partly. My mom, I'm sorry. It's over.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah.
It's very, very sparse, but I think it's also adding to what our brains need right now.
God's plan.
On his new double album, Drake shows off different sides, from crooner to tough guy, and that range has helped him generate mass appeal.
There's something about him that you can't necessarily pin down that allows him to have many personas under his one umbrella.
So what is the reaction like?
Oh, it's pandemonium.
Radio host Gemini was there when Drake was first making the transition from acting to music.
Just very earnest, very sweet, and he knew he was going to make it.
She says Drake's vulnerability is part of the appeal, but she says his real genius is taking a city's signature sounds, such as Toronto's Caribbean flavors, and using it to connect to fans around the world.
But that's the beautiful thing about him, is everyone feels like the hometown guy is repping them. Because when I'm in Atlanta, they feel like the home, he's our guy. When you're in Memphis, they're like, that's our boy. In England, you know what I mean? So they all feel like this is our guy.
I've been moving calm, don't start no trouble with me.
Beyond the music, Drake is business savvy. He's conquered streaming services like Spotify and Apple Music. Those sales now factor into the Billboard music chart, which means Drake's double album makes an even bigger impact.
You don't get to the numbers that he's getting to if everybody's going in and listening to it once and then going, well, yep, I heard the new Drake, that's all I need. They're going back and listening over and over and over. And when you go 25 songs deep, that's something new. That's 25 new things for people to discover.
And with hip-hop music now the biggest genre in streaming, Drake's reign shows no signs of ending. Eli Glasner, CBC News, Toronto.
So by one measure, Drake is in the same camp as the Beatles. Heresy to some, I know, but you can see it yourself on the most influential U.S. music chart, the Billboard Hot 100. Of course, music and the way we listen to it has changed a lot since Beatlemania. And it turns out so has the way the charts determine what's a hit.
Hey Jude, don't make it bad.
Go back 5 decades and Hey Jude was dominating. It held the top spot on the Hot 100 for 9 weeks. What mattered then to Billboard were just 2 things: radio play and record sales.
The sales aspect of it was to call up the record stores to find out what singles were actually being moved out of the store. And you could manipulate that by record labels kind of giving payola and money to different record stores saying, hey, instead of that song, can you say that this one is selling a lot?
Decades passed. It was the early 90s before Billboard changed the bar of entry. Tracking barcode scans gave a more accurate picture of what albums were being bought. Suddenly, grunge and country music were on the charts. In the era of Drake, making it to the Hot 100 gives way to even more things: downloads, streaming, both paid and free. Some say Billboard has gotten better over the years at reflecting what's actually popular.
It's the best system that we have because it's really showing not necessarily how the record labels are working the chart for them, but truly what's an accurate portrayal of what is the most popular tracks in America.
Tough for Beatle fans to hear, but Drake is more popular, at least on the Billboard charts. And so I put my co-host Adrian on the spot. Drake, Adrian, or the Beatles?
Well, look, I prefer a world where no one makes me make that choice, Ian. And I'm going to dodge it because I have a feeling it's one of the most radioactive questions you can ask, my friend.
Well, just look at my Twitter feed. I put that question out there and got lots of responses. And most people, maybe it's the demographic of the people who use Twitter or watch our show, were like, get real, Ian, it's the Beatles for sure. So we'll let them debate it.
Fair enough. Look, we all know this about the Beatles. They smoked pot. Paul McCartney even arrested for it. But with cannabis legalization on the horizon, celebrities aren't just smoking it. You see, pot companies are starting to link famous faces to their brands. But is that legal? Well, that's where it gets a little hazy. Diane Buckner has a closer look at what's behind the strategy and, of course, what's at stake.
A concert unlike any other.
Great pleasure to be here, and it's my great pleasure to be able to introduce the Glorious Sons.
You may recognize the MC as Rob Baker of the Tragically Hip.
Great ambassadors for rock and roll, great ambassadors for Canada, great ambassadors for Up.
Cue the lights and put your night dress on.
Up is Up Cannabis, a new brand, and the company behind this music and nature festival for media only. Members of the HIP are shareholders co-hosting the event.
Next down the list as well.
Bassist Gord Sinclair explains Up's various strains of cannabis are named for the band's songs.
50 Mission Cap, or 50 MC as we're calling it. It's an earthy sativa. You're going to have lots of fun. You're going to have lots of laughs. You're going to have lots of energy.
But hold up a second. Is it even legal to connect cannabis to rock stars? Canada's new Cannabis Act prohibits the promotion of recreational cannabis by means of a person, celebrity, character, or animal. Also not allowed, a testimonial or endorsement, however displayed or communicated. Just like with alcohol and tobacco, the government will restrict how cannabis can be advertised and marketed.
The strains that the folks at Up have come up with are the real deal. They're really good.
The company sees no problem with this promotion.
When we see Gord up there talking about different strains of cannabis, like he's promoting cannabis, that's exactly what the law says you're not supposed to do, doesn't it?
No, I think what Gord is doing and what we're trying to do is promote awareness of cannabis, which is quite different than promoting the product.
It's a very strange time.
Cannabis lawyer Matt Maurer says the new legislation doesn't take effect till October 17th.
There's really nothing prohibiting using celebrities at the moment to help build up your brand and to endorse your product, so to speak. Certainly there's something to be said for building up your brand recognition between now and October, so that when you do have to pull back from these types of advertisements, if that's the way it's going to go, you've sort of already built up a whole bunch of brand recognition and goodwill during a short period of time when you were technically able to do so.
The magically delicious.
How much is this?
That's a 2-kilo bag.
No, I mean, how much do you want for this? No.
Under the hairnets and lab coats, movie director and star Kevin Smith and his co-star Jason Mewes, better known as Jay and Silent Bob, in a series of cult comedies.
Rolling fatties, smoking blunts. Who smokes the blunts? We smoke the blunts. Time to kick back, drink some beers, and smoke some weed.
20 G's, little man. Put that bag in my hand.
It's classic.
Hamilton, Ontario-based Believe Cannabis has flown them up from Los Angeles after recruiting Smith and Mewes to work with the company. Today, the duo is getting their first look at Believe's facility. In their movies and also in the latest video from Drake, Jay and Silent Bob are marijuana aficionados.
Look, if you were going to start selling weed, like, you know, you'd go to like a couple people, you'd go to like Cheech and Chong, maybe Harold and Kumar, but on the cheaper end, Jay and Silent Bob.
Welcome, guys, welcome.
The company has 3 photographers here getting shots of its new celebrity partners on site. But Believe insists the stars will simply consult on new strains of cannabis, not promote the product.
How is it not an endorsement when Jay and Silent Bob are suddenly partnered with Believe?
Right. Well, again, you can call it an endorsement, but as I've seen it in what's presented to us today, we're not having them endorse our products. We are working with them.
Spreading actually a great message about a great company. I mean, this is going to be a behemoth, Invictus-MD.com. But you knew that.
Every cannabis company will tell you it's legally compliant right now. In some cases, their celebrity partners are shareholders talking up the company, not the product. Or they're being described as advisors.
I guess we're consultants? I guess that's what you call it? I mean, I don't know what else to call it. We can't go out and do commercials for it, so it's not like we're commercial spokespeople, as much as I would love to.
Right now, though, the legislation says that celebrities can't be part of promoting cannabis, right?
We're not promoting. We're promoting the safe use. People should use it responsibly. One hit and quit if you don't know what you're doing. You know, if you've never tried it, go slow. Have a friend with you.
Allowing celebrities to endorse products and talk about companies, even if there's sort of a technical argument around it, to me certainly is contrary to the spirit of what the government's trying to do. And one would expect that the government's not going to allow that to continue to happen once the law comes into effect.
Health Canada says come October, cannabis producers who are not obeying the law could lose their license or face up to $5 million in fines. For now, though, it appears the summer may be a free-for-all of celebrity connections. Diane Buckner, CBC News, Creemore, Ontario.
And it's not just the usual suspects like Tommy Chong or Snoop Dogg who are lending their names. Whoopi Goldberg and Melissa Etheridge have both launched brands that promote cannabis as a health supplement. In Whoopi's case, as a treatment for menstrual cramps, while Etheridge pushes pot as a way to help with cancer symptoms. And as you saw in Diane's piece, Gene Simmons is also an investor. And sure, the Kiss frontman has that Kiss image, but he routinely says he's never been high or drunk. Cannabis for him is just all about the business.
Next on The National, you probably don't associate LA with oil, but there are hundreds of drilling sites in that city, some just outside bedroom windows.
We thought it was a construction site for a long time because we didn't know that this sort of thing happened. But I guess there's oil here.
Indigenous and environmental activists in Minnesota vow to stop the massive Line 3 pipeline replacement through the state, even after regulators unanimously approved the project last month. Calgary-based Enbridge argues it needs to replace Line 3, which was built in the 60s, because it's increasingly prone to corrosion and cracking. The pipeline crosses 2 Indigenous reserves whose tribes strongly oppose the project. But throughout the U.S., vast oil fields and drilling sites are also popping up in densely populated cities. And the physical impact of the oil industry is very much becoming an urban issue. As Kim Brunhuber shows us, for a surprising number of people, it's close to home, right in their backyards.
It looks like a decent enough place to live, a cozy 2-story downtown apartment near the University of Southern California. But walk around the corner and you find this. So close you can see you can touch the window and the wall at the same time. Beyond this wall, an oil drilling site.
We thought it was a construction site for a long time because we didn't know that this sort of thing happened. But I guess there's oil here?
Yeah, there's oil. Los Angeles is home to the largest urban oil field in the country. There are almost 800 active wells in the city of Los Angeles and almost 4,000 in LA County. It's one of the things that surprised me most when I moved to LA, not just how many pump jacks there were in the city's core, but how close they were to people's homes. Drive a little further and you end up here in this beautiful park. Widen out the shot, there they are, moving rhythmically like giant metronomes. In this area in South LA, there are almost 100 wells, on average 2 tennis court lengths away from residential neighborhoods. Behind this wall, there's a slant drilling operation right across from houses there, and as you can see, right next to a baseball diamond. Maya Golden-Krasner from the Center for Biological Diversity came out to meet me near one of the jacks, meters away from this guy's cookout.
Recently, we compiled data from the state of California and discovered that a lot of California's oil is particularly dirty. and in fact, in some places, is dirtier and more energy intensive even than Canadian tar sands. And drilling itself has huge impacts. It can release hydrogen sulfides. Those can cause burning lungs, nausea, nosebleeds, dizziness. It releases benzene and other similar chemicals that are carcinogens.
¿Quieres a sponge? Okay.
It's so hot inside I'm sweating, but Alexis Camilla has kept her windows closed for about 6 years, ever since she first smelled it.
¿Cómo huele?
Son olores tan fuertes.
The odor is so strong, she says, they try to perfume it with the smell of fruit or other things. We suffer a lot from headaches. It's contaminated air. From up here on the roof, you can see it, a drilling site that for years, neighbors say, made them sick.
Maybe about 5 times I was to the hospital because I have a lot of headache.
To find out why, I go back to that first site in downtown LA and meet up with community organizer Nikki Wong.
Right behind this gate, you know, not 20, 30 feet from bedroom windows, and there's no local notification to neighbors that this extremely toxic, corrosive substance is coming into close proximity to them.
Wong recently published a review of studies that examined the health effects of drilling sites.
There's a lot of evidence for chronic exposure to toxins contributing to long-term significant health issues.
The companies will say, well, we test the air, you know, there are no, adverse effects being found.
A lot of their standards for emissions, those limits were really set for worker safety. It doesn't consider people who live next to the site 24/7.
You notice something else when you visit these urban drilling sites. Take this downtown neighborhood. It has the second lowest household income levels in the city. 70% of the residents are non-white.
It's a very clear racist.
Go west, she tells me, to the richer areas. So I do, starting in Beverly Hills. Unlike the downtown ones, this drilling site is totally covered. The next one is even better disguised.
First I couldn't find it, but you can see it there. It just looks like an office building, no windows. The entire pumping operation is totally hidden, so it's not an eyesore. And as you can see, it's totally enclosed, so it prevents pollution. Big difference.
A report by the NAACP released this week found that African Americans are exposed to 38% more polluted air than white Americans because so many of them live so close to oil and gas operations. And then there are the leaks.
So right next to these houses, there's a pump jack here you can see, and just last week, residents found bags of dirt soaked with oil, evidence of a 6,000-liter spill, which wasn't disclosed by the operator, and you can still smell the oil.
Now, the city of Los Angeles is studying new regulations, a mandatory 760-meter buffer between oil production and homes, schools, parks, and churches.
But here, for instance, when we can see it right across the street, that wouldn't be possible. You'd have to shut this one down, for instance.
Yeah, they need to shut down.
And that's the problem. The oil pipes and jacks are like roots and branches in this city. Authorities predict that the buffer would shut down 90% of the city's oil production. Industry advocates say that would kill a potential oil boom, since Los Angeles is sitting on one of the richest shale oil reserves in the U.S.
If the city of LA and the state of California, really props itself up as climate leaders in the country, I think this will be a real important sort of testing ground for if we're going to actually uphold that.
Back at the downtown site, McCandless is heading out to yoga before her classes. She still doesn't know what to make of what's happening feet from her bedroom, beyond the wall.
At this point, we're not sure, and we're also not sure how long we'll be living here, so.
¿Qué vamos a colorear?
But for Camilla, moving would be too expensive. Her only hope, she says, that buffer the city's debating, which would push this operation out of her neighborhood for good.
Lo que quiero que se escuche nuestra voz.
I hope they listen to our voices, she says, and that officials will help us in our battle. Until then, she says, they'll have to play indoors and keep their windows closed. Kim Brunhuber, CBC News, Los Angeles.
And this debate around urban oil isn't going away. Just 2 weeks ago, Los Angeles' city controller called on LA to step up its oversight and be more proactive on inspecting urban oil fields. He slammed the city for taking a lax and reactive approach to monitoring and enforcing rules meant to address health and environmental concerns. Residents next to those oil and gas drilling sites have raised.
We'll be right back with The Moment. But first, a reminder, you can get the real story from CBC News journalists all day long. Find those powerful images on Instagram, exclusive video on Facebook, and tweet us at CBC The National. The cave rescue in northern Thailand captured the world's attention, and for the past few weeks, divers and splunkers brought us into their world. Tonight, hours after a successful rescue, we reached out to some of them, and their messages to the Wild Boars soccer team, well, that's our moment of the day.
From Alberta, BC Cave Rescue, we're glad you're safe.
To the Wild Boars, hope you guys get some basil stir fry soon. To the thousands of volunteers, thank you for your dedication. And to the family of Saman, I hope you know that everyone knows he's a hero.
Congratulations, Wild Boars. We wish you all the best. From Oakville Divers, Canada.
We followed your journey very, very closely and looked at all the twists and turns that it took. I wanted to let you know that I wish you a speedy recovery and a quick return to soccer.
I'm so glad all you Wild Boars are out safely and soon to be home with your family. Just remember, you guys lived through one of the toughest ordeals ever, so just know that from this day forward, you can do anything.
So much to say here, Adrian. No, you go ahead. You can start.
No, I was just going, I mean, we all could talk about this forever. I was just going to say, I hope those kids at some point can, and they have no idea what people have been thinking about and for them, and I hope they can hang on to it and they learn some of the stories that are out there, because there are so many of them, so much grace out of that country this week.
So much generosity. You were talking about a woman who you saw an interview with who lived not far from the entrance to the cave site.
Yes, her rice paddies were flooded because they had to empty the water out of the cave, and she said, that's okay, as long as those boys are all right. That seems to be the spirit of Thailand.
Yeah, well, you know, 24 hours ago, we were still worried it might not work out the way it did, but I think tonight is a night to celebrate an amazing plan, some tremendous courage, and that it all did finally end well. One death, of course, from a diver, but all of the kids and the coach out safely. That is The National for July 10th. Good night.
Good night.